Hello, welcome to the REISA Podcast. This is our first ever podcast created at this organization, and I'm excited to be here. I'm joined here by my colleagues Caitlin, Claudia, myself Sabrina, and Arwa. I'm the Communications and NPI Coordinator. I've been here for the last year, and I'll let Claudia introduce herself.
So hello everyone, welcome to the REISA Podcast episode 1. So my name is Claudia Maiolo and I'm the Executive Director of REISA. I've been the ED since July 2024 and I've been at REISA in multiple different positions over the years since 2009. So the mission of REISA is community and public partners that work together and collaborate to increase access to health and social services in English in the east and north ends of Montreal.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here as well. My name is Caitlin. I'm the program manager. I originally started at REISA in 2017, but then I left for a couple of years. I worked at McGill, and then I came back in August of 2023, and I've been here since.
Hello, I started here my internship in summer of 2024, and in September I started full-time position as the Community Development Coordinator, and it's almost been a year now.
So Claudia, I know you've been here the longest of all of us, so I wanted to know what brought you to REISA.
So personally, I started in 2009. I had graduated in marketing at Concordia the year before in 2008. And I started on a contract to basically develop the promotional documents for REISA. So as a marketing part-time position. Like we've been saying since the beginning, I caught the community bug and I just never left. So slowly I was developing the promotional material, and then I got involved in the programming, and I started working with the board of directors, and the very first program that we had was the networking and partnership initiative with the CHSSN. So I started becoming the coordinator of the program, and it just trickled from there. It just snowballed from there.
You know, it's kind of interesting you studied marketing because it's not a common path into community organizations. How do you feel about that? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
You're right. I kind of had to learn my way in the nonprofit sector and, grant applications and whatnot. But I thought that the marketing angle sort of brought sort of a business strategy angle to a nonprofit, and also just really concerned all the time with how REISA presented itself and the material and whatnot. So that was sort of and the newsletter writing as well. So those were my fortes.
But you know what's interesting? I have a very different path than you, but we share a similar role. So now I'm the NPI coordinator, and I've been here for the last year, but my background is in community development at Concordia University. I studied human relations, and my first work experience, I want to say my real work experience, is working at student unions at Concordia in various positions, but I feel there's many parallels between the student unions and here. We worked to do representation, outreach, getting students to know about their rights, academic policies, which could be very similar, except we work in a different context here. We work in the health context, but I found working at the union gave me the skills I needed to work here. And what excited me most was when Claudia was telling me the outreach portion of the NPI program. I enjoyed most working at the union and doing outreach at tablings on campus, talking to students, getting them to know about the mission of the union and what we offer. And I still find this very enjoyable today when I go to different community fairs, job fairs, etc. I like talking to people, and that's one of the things that drove me to work at REISA. But not only that, I am an Anglophone from Montreal. I lived in the East End growing up, and with someone with limited French, it could be really difficult to access any services. And I found a lot of the time growing up, I sacrificed my communication and how to properly express myself by speaking French, because I knew at times I wouldn't be able to access those services in English, or people wouldn't understand what I was trying to say. So the mission really spoke to me at REISA, and I know I lived the experience, so I could add valuable insights working here. And what about you, Caitlin?
So I actually did the same undergrad as you, Sab. I did human relations, and while I was finishing up my degree in human relations, my aunt sent me a job posting that she saw from REISA as project agent. And it's really interesting because I feel like what led me to REISA was the Human Systems Intervention Program, the master's, because my aunt was an alumna from the program. And that's how she saw the posting from REISA, because REISA was working with a group of master students from the program at the time. So I applied, and then one of the first projects I worked on with REISA was this big forum that was being held by the master students in Human Systems Intervention. And so I worked at REISA for, and I was immediately also drawn to the mission because I'm also an Anglophone I grew up in the South Shore of Montreal, but like I connected to the mission of REISA very deeply because I often experienced the same struggles that you did. So I worked here for about 2 years until 2019, and then I left for a while to work at McGill, and then I also worked with the Dean of Students, so we did a lot of like outreach and advocacy for students and their rights. And I really connected to that work. But I was always like very connected to the Human Systems Intervention Program at Concordia since I worked on that project here at REISA. So it always was on my mind, like I should go back, I should do that master's. And so I finally decided to apply. And that's what's actually brought me back to REISA, so that they're very interconnected. And I ended up doing the master's program. I came back to REISA because I felt like it really aligned with the work that REISA does, and I'd be able to use what I was learning in the program in my work at REISA. So it just really like connected very well, and like both of those things led to like me bettering myself and like bettering my career and like furthering my education. So
You know what? That's very interesting you mention it because I see all these skills in you. I find that you're very organized, very analytical, and you have a way of interacting with people, our partners, and the team that just it shows such grace as well.
Stop.
But it's interesting how what started you at REISA led you back here.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a full circle moment. You must feel relieved.
Yeah. And REISA led me back to the master's program, and it's just like all like interwoven. It's really, I didn't realize it at the time as it was happening, but when we were preparing for the podcast and I was thinking about my story and like REISA, I was like, wow, that's very interesting.
Now that you're done your master's, how do you find these skills will be used at REISA?
Well, I feel like I was using them the whole time, like throughout the 2 years that I was doing my degree. So there's a lot of facilitation, and you know, we do a lot of forums and large group meetings, so that really comes in handy. Learning how to like use dialogue as an intervention and like dealing with groups of people, having people like open up about what's going on and kind of like seeing each other for like their real selves, I feel is very helpful in the work that we do, considering that we're trying to like break down the barriers of, you know, English speakers versus French speakers and kind of just create like a cohesive community.
And that reminds me of the Canvas of Connection project that you did recently, which also ties in with seniors, which Arwa works with. Would you like to talk a little bit about how you ended up at REISA? And maybe we could talk a little bit about Campus of Connection as well.
The first program I enrolled into at Concordia was Community Public Affairs and Policy Studies. And later on, I found myself very attracted to helping the community, to finding solutions for people. And I had to do an internship, and I wasn't finding any internship, and I was like at my last year of university, and I wasn't finding anything that really screamed to me or like that really interested me, and I felt like I was actually going to be helping other than just completing an internship and then just like whatever, it's done. Until my program manager sent an email saying REISA is hiring for an internship position, and at first I was like, oh, okay. And then I went to research about REISA, and that's when I found out about the mission. And I'm not an Anglophone specifically because I speak 3 languages. I grew up speaking 3 languages, but my dad is an Anglophone. And when he first came to Canada, he kind of struggled because of the French. My mom always had to be with him, helping him with services. And just everyone in general, I find it unfair to them when they can't find services in a specific language that they would like to be served in. Initially, when I started at REISA, I was only conducting portraits for the English community. And Caitlin was the one who was responsible for the seniors. And then little by little, she kind of became like my mentor in the seniors area. And basically what we do with the seniors is we have multiple activities where we go to residences and we either do legal workshops, we do music workshops, we do animal therapy.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned, well, I'm not necessarily an Anglophone. I grew up speaking 3 languages. I find that strengthens REISA's mission in our community. It's super important to have people on our team as well that are maybe Francophone or more French-speaking at home. It strengthens our community, our ability to outreach to people. And not only that, this creates a culture of community and care and strengthens the abilities of the team.
In the seniors residences that we work with, there's one that has a lot of Arabic speakers. And the fact that I'm capable of speaking that language, we were able to outreach to more people and interest them more because they understand English, but they don't know how to read it or they don't know how to write it. So when we would be putting posters for an activity, they wouldn't know what it is until I started doing them in Arabic, and then we got a little bit more people coming.
I think that highlights an important point that bilingualism or speaking different languages has different components. Some people are stronger with written, spoken, reading, and not all aspects will be strong for everyone. I think a lot of times when accessing services, your spoken French has to be strong, but something that we often forget about is the need to read documents, right? You're leaving the hospital, you're leaving a clinic. Most of the documentation, if not all, are in French and sometimes not even translated to English or potentially a 3rd, 4th language. But for now, we're speaking about the official languages in Quebec. And there's so many components and moving parts to it that go under the radar that maybe people might take for granted if they've spoken French their whole life. And personally working at REISA, that's opened my eyes to that.
That's why REISA is here. A lot of people maybe have like misconceptions or assumptions as to what REISA does, like we're trying to change language laws, and that's really not the case. Like we're here to like help institutions create those documents in English so that people could better understand like the care after they go to different appointments, or just like raise awareness to different services that are available to the community that they might not know or have access to because they didn't see the information in English. What we're really trying to promote is we're all Quebecers. We're all proud to be Quebecers. Like whether or not I grew up speaking English at home or French at home, like I'm proud to be from this province and live in this province. And I'm not trying to change anything, but for certain things, like health and social services, if you're not completely fluent in a language, it's very difficult to, access that care. So we're just trying to make that easier for people.
Absolutely. Like we've always said that 1st tier level service, for example, getting a vaccine, it's okay if you're bilingual and you're able to speak a bit of French and understand the French language, you can communicate with a nurse and receive your vaccine, with a French-speaking nurse. But if you're looking for a psychologist, at this point, like at this 2nd tier service, you're feeling vulnerable, and you're emotional during a session, and you need to speak the language that you're most comfortable in. So this is kind of the angle that we've been presenting all these years. And as Caitlin was saying, we're always helping and empowering institutions and even organizations, nonprofits and whatnot, so that they can better serve the community. So we're helping them, we're supporting them to adapt their services, translate their services, have a better reach to the English-speaking community. A lot of the time, cross-promoting that organization within the English-speaking community and just saying, hey, this organization is making an effort and they can serve you in English, so go see them, And in turn, it'll shift their service offering. If more English-speaking people are going to their door, knocking on their door, they're going to think twice about, hiring a bilingual employee or translating their website or any tools that they have, offering an English workshop. And then the same thing goes for the health institutions. REISA's helped the CEUS de l'Est and the CEUS du Nord in the past adapt a lot of their tools, like we were saying, instructions from the hospital, the CLSC, for like pre-surgery or post-surgery, different, documentations and procedures. And we want to continue doing that for different departments. So we've done this for the SAD group, so Soutien à Domicile. So we translated a trousse, it was called. It was a folder with all different instructions, and now we would like to do that as well in other departments.
To build on that, we now receive funding from the provincial government, from the Secrétariat de... Sorry, remind me.
Aux relations avec les communautés d'expression anglaise.
Yes, thank you. So we call the program ERCC, and it's enhancing regional community capacity. So forever, REISA was working just in health and social services, but now with ERCC, we're expanding beyond that. So we're able to increase the capacity of our partners to serve the English-speaking community in areas outside of health and social services. So we've done a lot of work on employability. We've created a youth network where we partner with youth organizations on our territory, and we help them translate their documents. We help them expand their reach to the English-speaking community by maybe promoting the hiring of bilingual people, or just supporting them to get that reach to the English-speaking community that they might have struggled to do in the past. And we also now work with families with special needs, and partnered with the Center of Dreams and Hopes on a special project for education around special needs in the English-speaking community. So that's kind of a really big moment of growth for REISA, that we've kind of expanded our reach outside of health and social services.